Hello and welcome to the studio where we paint away the stress of everyday life here in Wales. I'm just glancing down at my sound recorder to make sure it's all working correctly. So I thought one of my favourite subjects is seascapes, and I visited the beach last weekend because we were out of lockdown, and I managed to walk across the sand and the pebbles and seen people eating ice creams, and even though it was cold, it was quite nice. So I thought today I'd paint some sort of seascape. And before I do that, let's have a look at the colours. I need to explain a few things, and I'll see you at the palette.
It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe.
Okay, thank you very much for watching that introduction. Now, looking down at the palette, I've actually been through the drawers of my my paint. There we are, you can see my paints there. I got drawers of paints, as you could see, drawerfuls of paints there, and a lot of them I actually make myself. But I have got remnants of old paints there. So that brought me onto the palette, and I've just thrown some old paint on. I wanted to see, some of this paint is up to 5 years old, believe it or not, and I wanted to see if it was any good to actually paint with, because I get a lot of questions saying how long does acrylic paint last in the tube. Well, it all depends. Sometimes it gets really hard and crusty. You make sure you put the lids on really well, and what I normally do is put a little bit of Vaseline or something around the end just to tighten that up if I know I'm not going to use that colour for any particular time. As you can see, these are some of the old colours that I've been playing with, that I've mixed myself. There's ultramarine blue, there's my own personal black mix, there's some rust colour, some yellow ochre, I've got a few different blues. There's like a red oxide colour there, which I use for a lot of my Welsh paintings. But in this particular colour scheme or painting, you use whatever colours you have to hand. And I thought sometimes we just leave little bits in the tubes and we just discard them, but we shouldn't really. We should try to make something of them. That brings me on to the canvas. It's a little bit of cardboard, because I use cardboard during the lockdown because it's easier. And this is a 12 by 15, 16, something like that. Because I can't get my hand on canvases. I got a few brushes soaking away in the water there, just to get a little bit of moisture into those bristles. I tell you what I have not done, I haven't put any titanium white on my palette. If you can give me 1 second, I'll just do that. Okay, so I managed to find some titanium white after about 10 minutes. Because I wanted to use some old white. I got plenty of fresh white there, but I wanted to use some old white. So what I'm going to do today, I've got a bit of a raw sienna and gesso on there, and a wash. Just to warm up the palette a little bit. I'm just going to go straight into some paint. This a little bit thicker than I would like normally. I'm just going to get a little bit of possible this yellow ochre colour. There you go. Just want to mix that into that white. Or maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe a little bit more colour than that. And I'm just going to put that in the sky like this. There you go. A little bit of moisture. I'm using some of my medium mix that you'll find at www.clivehighart.co.uk, around with retarders and all my other paints as well. So I'm just putting a little bit of sky colour in there. I'm picking up a fine mist bottle. There you go, one of these fine mist bottles. Just going to mist down my canvas, because it's quite warm in my studio today, and my paint will dry pretty quick, and I want to try and avoid that if I can. So I'm just going to pick up what's a nice colour for a sky. Let's get a little bit of this, a light blue, and a little, I know that's ultramarine blue, and I think that's a little bit of like cobalt blue I mixed up ages ago. Quite nice, still active, still quite nice to put in the sky. And you can see with that white I'm already putting on, you're getting that nice pale sky colour like this. I'm going to leave a couple of darker spots of the sky in place there like that, I'm just getting a bit more moisture on my brush just to bring that down like that. There you go. And I absolutely love working with grounds and gesso on the canvas. Now you don't have to do that. You can use whatever method suits yourself. If you don't like using gessos and you want to paint straight onto canvases or boards or whatever you paint on, then you carry on and do that. And whatever works for you. This is my philosophy in painting. If it works, don't try to fix it, because if it's working for you, then it must be the right thing to do. There's no right or wrong way in art. In my experience, there's no right and wrong way to do anything in art whatsoever. That's what makes you as an individual. That's what makes you unique, is your methods that you find to do. Now, I've got a little bit of this ultramarine blue. I'm going to mix a little bit of this purple colour. This is more of a dioxazine purple. It's quite a dark purple colour. There we go. I'm going to mix a bit of that into that. I'm going to bring a little bit of the white into there as well. You can see it's like a nice violet-y colour. A bit more of that. Just putting my brush down, my mister bottle down, and then I'm just gonna try and put in a few cloud shapes like this. This could be like a nice stormy cloud. There you go. Just playing, having fun. Maybe that's like a misty, foggy type of cloud formation. Is quite low. I don't know. I'm just doing this and just seeing what works. Just seeing what works. It might work, it might not work, it might look terrible, but you know me, I don't pre-plan much. I just want that look as if it's maybe something just building up. On the coastline there. Come back to that when it starts to dry, so we can add a little bit more detail into it. So we've got a little bit of that there. Now I'm going to bring in some more of this dioxazine purple colour and some ultramarine blue. You can see I haven't got a lot of each. A little bit more white. I'm going to try and get a line straight as possible across the horizon line there like that. I'm not too bothered about the line being perfectly straight. Now I'm going to get a little bit of this lovely black that I made, I've forgotten about, with a little bit of that Prussian blue. Sorry, dioxazine purple. I'm going to get a little bit of colour into this water area like this. And the plan I got in my mind is to bring this down like that. Bring in a little bit more of this blue, some cerulean, no, I'm sorry, this cobalt blue I think, isn't it? I think it's like a cobalty blue. Bringing that in there. And just bringing in some blocks or two of colour like that. And I just get a little bit of this yellowy type of whitey colour. I gotta think where I'm gonna bring in a few crashing waves maybe there, going into the horizon that way. That means I'll need another one maybe. Coming in like that. I'm not going to be hiding in there. So we got a couple of ideas there now. I want to put a few. I don't want it too bright. I want a few little wavelets. So the water's come in on an angle this way, as you can see. So it means we're going to put a bit of this maybe there, like that. Taking the brush off my paint, the paint off my brush, I'm just going to sweep that up. Just like that. My brush is getting a bit, my paint is getting a bit tacky. So I just put a little bit of moisture just on my brush, just to help blend that in a little bit like that. Okay, so we get in that. Oops, just dropped my brush. We get in that look that I'm just building up the bones of this now, because I'm going to change my brush and I want to get some yellow ochre, a little bit of these two different red, it's a rusty raw sienna, bit of yellow ochre type of colour. I'm just going to scrub that in now. Scrubbing that in. Maybe a little bit darker there. Maybe just a touch of white, maybe just get a bit of white in. Put a few little white spots here and there, just to lighten it up. We could get something, maybe a little bit of black on this raw sienna, because the black I've made has got a lot of blue in it, so if I mix in that with the raw sienna, which has got a lot of yellow in it, you'll find it might go a little bit, I know it's going to go a little bit green, which is what I'm looking for. When I'm talking about green, let's mix a little bit of this ultramarine blue and yellow. Guess a few flicks of light green in there maybe. Let's get some of this rusty colour. Just mix up some different textures and colours, and there you go. Got a bit lighter in the front. A little bit of white here and there, just to okay, now I'm gonna dry that with a hairdryer, because that's my layers. My first layer's done. That's my first layer done. So I got some misty, cloudy type of shapes in the background, which I'm gonna distant off in a minute. I gotta build some waves, and I got the formation of the waves there. I got my sandy, beachy looking grass effects there. I gotta put some rocks in a minute. So now I want to get a nice brush. There we go. I got one here somewhere. I know I got one. There it is. There we are. Now I have got some zinc. Zinc yellow. I got some zinc white here somewhere. That's lead white. I got some here somewhere. No. I tell you what I will do. I know I got some of that. I'll just use some of this. Look, this is Winsor & Newton, this one. Zinc mixing white. I just happen to have some of that there. I do mix my own, but for some reason I can't find it. But that doesn't surprise me one bit. So I'm just going to thin that really well with some water, like this. Awesome on my medium mix. Oh, a nice glaze of white, because this is very, very transparent. So, but what it does do, it allows you to just knock back and put a glaze of colour over a particular part of the painting, just to make it look a bit misty. It just kills the intensity that I find on these colours sometimes, and it's a quick cheat really to be able to put a strong colour on and then take it back to an intensity that you want it by putting a layer of paint over it. I hope that makes sense. I'm just misting back, basically. Just misting back these clouds so they don't look so intense. There you go. All that is a very thin coat of zinc white. There you go. I'm happy with that. So I want to get a little brush now. I'm going to concentrate on some of these wave formations. In fact, I think I'm just going to darken back parts of this. Seascape with a bit of that dark colour. If you're not as good as me, and I'm not very good at doing straight lines, why not put a little bit of distant land in? like that. Just break up the edge, and it look as if there's a bit of land over there then. Because I live on the British Channel, I can see Minehead and England from Wales. So that could be just an interpretation of that effect there, like that. So we need to put some shadow in. Let's get a little bit of my white now. And you know, with previous paintings that I've done, you don't need a lot of detail in the background there. There you go. Let's just put a few more. Breakers coming in. A little bit of white, bright white, just to make it look as if it's coming down there like that. Nice dry brush. Just concentrate on just going through a few bright spots like that. Quite a choppy sea today, I think. And normally it is where I live. It can be really choppy, especially in the rain and the winds that we've been having lately. Nice bit of oops, I picked up a bit of yellow there. A lot of foam. A lot of foam coming in there. That's coming around. There's a bank by there. I've just decided there's going to be a bank by there, and that's just coming around. Like that. You see the sand coming through now. You can see the sand coming through. There's a wave of broken there. And it's just spilt all its water just over the beach. Yeah. Let's get a little bit of shadow in. Let's get a bit of shadow in there. A bit more white, maybe. There you go. It's not looking too bad, I don't think. I hope it's not. I hope it is. I mean, sorry. I hope it's not. I hope it is. Let's get some of this red and black together. There you go. I'm going to put a few. Maybe I want to put it darker than that. I'll put a few locks in there like this. Maybe just go straight into a little bit of black as well. Maybe a couple of rocks there like that. Sort that out in a second. Let's get a bit of this colour. Let's put a bit of highlight on those rocks then. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white to that colour that I just mixed up, just to make it a slightly different tone of colour, because I want to put a few. Flicks of highlight here and there, I think. And let's get some more of this sun colour. There you go. I tell you what would be fun though. We need a bit of driftwood. We need some driftwood, I think. So I'm just making this up now as I go along. I want a bit of this black, and I'm going to get some of that red oxide. And I'm going to put a tree in. This is an old part of the, I don't even know where this tree came from. I just thought I'd better put a tree in there. There's a part of the coast where I live that there's big cliffs, and it's eroded away with the sea. And sometimes parts of this cliff just drops like that and puts loads of stone, earth, soil and all this other stuff. And I tell you what, they found one of the rarest and largest dinosaurs in Wales there. And a lot of these archaeologists go around, and when these cliffs fall, and they have a look for these bones and things, these fossils. So this could be a representation of a part of the cliff that's fallen maybe. And it's just left a few old broken bits of debris. I don't know what's happened there. Just strewn around. Maybe there's a big old bit of wood dropped there as well, just snapped off. This branch is just laying on the sea, which is going to be all pulled into the sea and turned into driftwood, and somebody's going to come along one day and pick up this driftwood and make it into something fantastic. I see some fantastic driftwood bits of artwork. There you go. Now we got to have some grasses. So if I'm putting some grass in there now, I'm gonna have to put some. If I have trees in there now, I'm gonna have to put a little bit of grass and stuff in. Maybe there's some bits of grass and stuff that has fallen into this debris. It's just a massive, and these things, it doesn't have to make sense. What I'm trying to say is with art, it doesn't have to make sense. You know, you wouldn't see trees and things on a beach normally, but it depends where you live. Sometimes it amazes me what nature actually does, and especially with land erosion, which we get a lot of around on the coastline, that, you know, it doesn't surprise me in the least that this scene could exist, but it only exists at the moment in my imagination. So, and that's the joy of art sometimes, is that nothing has to make sense. All it needs to do is make a pleasing composition for the eye. Put a bit of shadow in there. Bit of water creeping around like that. I quite like that. I think what we could do now is let's put some seagulls in. You know, I like my seagulls and things, so I'm going to really try to do something like a proper seagull type of thing, maybe. There we go. Bit of black. couple of seagulls flying around looking for their dinner. I quite like seagulls, in fact. Some people don't. And I think we're not far off. So I'm just going to get a bit of white into this yellow ochre colour. Put a little bit of contrast like that. Tell you what you could do as an idea. You know, I've got where you put stars on sometimes with a toothbrush like this. We use a toothbrush, put stars on. But what you can do also is you could put stones and gravel I need to wet it a little bit more than that. My paint is quite thick. You need quite a thin paint for this, really. You put some just texture in like that, and if it's in an area that you don't want, just get a wet brush. And you can just blend it out a little bit like that. There you go. Just blend it out a little bit like that. But you can see you can put some wonderful textures in. What I suggest you do if you do that is try and mask an area off, but there we are. And I'm just going to finish off with just a few. Maybe just a little highlight here and there. I think I'm going to call that. That's what you do when you use your imagination, use some old paints, get down, get dirty, have a bit of fun, get some paint on your hands and just enjoy the whole painting process. So my name is Clive from Clive's 5 Art. Thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. Don't forget to click the notification bells. Don't forget to click the notification bells and make sure I upload. I upload every week at 7:30 on a Monday. I'm getting tongue-tied now. Click the notification bell, that's what I'm trying to say. And I'll see you next time. I'm going to go now. Bye.